Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Sergei Lavrov in his speech, a very interesting speech I would say, and revealing from United Nations in front of the UN Assembly. He makes a lot of good points, and as I always say, try to listen the person speaking. Do not wait for CNN, MSNBC, or other news outlets interpret for you what he said. I mean, if you have doubts and you need clarification, you can obviously do that. But I would always start with this so-called controversial figures that the mass media is inclined to lie by omission or by euphemisms. Always try to watch and hear, listen to what they say, because you're not an idiot and you have the capability, the mental ability to understand what that person is saying. You like that person or you don't like that person, listen to that person first, and then listen to the so-called journalists or the experts, the analysts, interpretations. And then you're going to figure out that what you listen to is totally different from what these guys are telling you they listen to. Do this for a little, if you want to convince yourself of how these guys are twisting words. In this case, I will just go on one of Lavrov's topics that he touched in his good speech. There are about, 8 topics in his not long speech, about 20 minutes I think it is. I listened to the entire speech, and I didn't find anything new. Russia stated that along its 15 years counter arguments supplied to the West, but that's because I was following the issue. But if you did not follow the issue, many things over there might be new to you, or you heard everything before. This article comes from Reuters and is from September 24th, 2022. Lavrov at the UN pledges, quote-unquote, full protection for any territory annexed by Russia. I think you know exactly where this article goes, right? If it's full protection, that means we can do anything we want for any invading force. Well, when the referenda will end, there will be foreign forces on the territory, so then they can blow them up with whatever they feel fit. Russia's top diplomat on Saturday said regions of Ukraine where widely derided referendums are being held would be under Russia's quote-unquote full protection if they are annexed by Moscow, amid fears Russia could further escalate the conflict and even use nuclear weapons. I think that would not escalate the conflict. I think that would definitely end the conflict. So this Putin told, I think he told Modi, right, of India, that he will end the war as soon as possible. And it seems like this is the fastest way to do it. Do the referenda, deem those forces invaders, give them an ultimatum, 2 hours you stop fighting, and 24 hours you leave our territory. If not, we will use any military means at our disposal, quote-unquote, parentheses, asterisk, nuclear weapons. And the Ukrainians will not abide by that. And then is the red line that you always, red line, the line in the sand that you drew. These guys are going to cross it, and you're going to do, or you're not going to do, what you said you will. If you don't do, then you lose credibility and you will be in a joke forever. So they have to. We'll find out. I'm not calling the Russians the victims here, okay? Like, oh my God, they have to do it. No. But we go further to read that Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov addressing the UN General Assembly and the world's media in New York attempted to justify Russia's February invasion of its neighbors, repeating Moscow's false claims that the elected government in Kiev was illegitimately installed, filled with neo-Nazis and opposed Russia speakers in the country's east. So this weasel, Michel Nichols, is either an idiot, how should I put it, a weasel, or both. But it's very weak weasel, because weasels are usually sneaky and smart a little bit there. So she says, Michelle, right? Maybe she identifies as a globe. So, how was the Kiev regime installed? I'm not going to make this, I'm going to make it very fast. 2014 overthrow, United States was part of it. The eastern part of Ukraine did not vote for this government. So how is it legitimate? It's illegitimate because not all the people voted. Okay, that's one thing. Second, filled with neo-Nazis and neo-Nazis. There are, until about a year ago, everybody was talking about names that are in the government and in the military of Ukraine. And now they're not. They don't call them neo-Nazis. They call them ultra-nationalists or nationalists. They don't call them that. So it's just like two steps down. All right. And oppressed Russian speakers in the country's east. They instituted laws, maybe not laws, how do you call those? Decrees regarding the Russian language in Ukraine. They did it now in the past 6 months of the war. So what is Michel talking about? Russia on Friday launched referendums in 4 eastern Ukraine regions aimed at annexing territory it was taken by force. It belonged to it, so I think they could say they are entitled to, and it was given to them. So Kiev said residents were being coerced into voting and were not allowed to leave the regions during the 4-day vote. Well, that's what the Ukrainians say. The Russians say that's not true. All right, so 0-0 or 1-1, which Western nations dismissed as a sham designated to justify an escalation of 7-month-old war. Well, if that's a sham, then Kosovo was a sham. And he's going to end the war with that, Putin I'm talking. Following those referendums, Russia, of course, will respect the expression of the will of those people who, for many long years, have been suffering from the abuse and neo-Nazi regime, Lavrov said at the news conference after he addressed the assembly. Asked if Russia would have grounds for using nuclear weapons to defend annexed regions of Ukraine, Lavrov said Russian territory, including territory question, further enshrined in Russia's constitution in the future, end quote, is under the full protection of the state, end quote. And quoting again, all of the laws, doctrines, boom, concepts and strategies of the Russian Federation apply to all its territories, he said, also referring specifically to Russia's doctrine of the use of nuclear weapons. All right, Russia accused the United States and others of being parties of the conflict because they are sending weapons to Ukraine to help Ukraine defend itself. Yeah, okay. The likely annexation of Ukrainian territory raised the question of how Russia might respond to the use of Western weapons in those regions. Well, the thing is, Ukraine requested an urgent UN Security Council meeting over the referendums, calling for Russia to be held accountable for its further attempts to change Ukraine's international recognized border in a violation of the UN Charter. Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesman Oleg blah blah blah. Okay. Well, they do the same thing as the defensive alliance NATO did in Serbia in 1999, attacked a country that never attacked anyone. So the defensive alliance NATO attacked someone that never attacked anybody, bombed it, and then they carved out a territory from Serbia called Kosovo, and then allowed the Kosovarians to tell the truth and tell the world that they will vote for their independence, which they did, like this sham referendums. So, any questions? Don't you see that it's the same thing, it's just different actors? And it's not even the same thing, because if you want to take it this way, Kosovo never belonged to Albania or was an independent country. Whereas Ukraine, those territories belonged to Russia before. Remember? And besides, just look in the history books and try to find Ukraine. You're going to find it, in what year? 1918. That's when you're going to find Ukraine. Before that, no Ukraine. It doesn't mean that there were not Ukrainians, but how do you define your territory then? Look for Crimea. Crimea was given by Nikita Khrushchev, okay, another Russian, right, to Ukraine in what? In 1954, right after Stalin passed out, right, or something. Okay, so look at these territories. Ukraine was given part of Moldova. Moldova was Romanian in 1940. Ukraine was given by Stalin with ultimatum in 1940 from Romania, that's Bukovina, northern part. Ukraine was given Galicia. Ukraine was given eastern territories of Poland or western territories of Ukraine. You see, someone said, a lot of people said, Ukraine is just a made-up country with other people's territories. You don't like it? Well, I'm just saying what other people say. Are they liars? You can find all these dates in history books or in history. Just do 2 or 3 clicks and you find all these things that I said. You're gonna find the dates: 1940, 1954, Galicia, and I'm not exactly when that occurred, 1918, the creation of Ukraine, 1718, and they were swallowed by Trotsky, the good guy Trotsky, and the good guy Lenin, non-Russians, by the way. Stalin, non-Russian, by the way. I think Nikita Khrushchev was, or his mother, I think, or was a Ukrainian or something. So, all these Russians, good Russians. Look at Kaganovich, non-Russian, right? Look at Beria, non-Russian. And many, look at Yogoda, non-Russian. And you can go with the list on and on and on to find the Russians. Gorbachev, who was an idiot. All right? Thank you very much for being with me again today. An idiot, a fool. That sounds better. Maybe he was a double agent. I don't know what. Not double agent, because not an agent. He was on a payroll of the other guys. Those guys just played with him, gave him some candies, and said, "You're gonna be the good guy here. We're gonna like you." But just disintegrate that country. And then you got Yeltsin and others who were. Remember how Yeltsin years were from 1991 to 1999, December 25th. Remember? Well, ask the Russians how they lived in those beautiful years when Russia was embraced by the West, and every night, multiple times. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.